Hi everyone. So I remember when I was in grad school and we would have to, write all of our reports for class and everything. Really wasn't sure like how much or how little, because when you're in school you're learning how to write the evals and it took forever. So when I started working, I had reports from internship and I'm wondering what are ways that I can write evaluations faster. And if you would like to know, then watch this video. What I do in my job is, in the beginning when I first started, I took reports that I wrote from internship and I used that. So of course you want something that has like similar tests, like similar assessments that you use. So if you are using the WISC in your job and you use the WISC in internship, then you'd want to take something from there and that has the WISC, so that way it already has it written in there. It already has about the WISC instead of you having to fill out that information. But I know that's not always the case. Like you can't always do that. Like I know I use the older intelligence test version in my internship and then I use the WISC. So I did use what I have from internship, but I kind of changed the wording around. Regardless, I took a report that I had before and kind of took that layout. Also, with my district, they kind of have a letterhead, so I just copy and paste what I had before into the letterhead. So that's the first step. After that, I like to start off by talking about information about the student. So like their name, their birth date, their sex, when I'm testing, when I started writing the report. And that's easy, that's on the top portion. Then a little bit of background information, and not something big, but just a little bit of something. And then I like to write about any observations I made as well. So in my school, I don't do the observations in the classroom. So I don't write about observations in the classroom, but I write about observations I made while testing the student. And again, I copy and paste from other assessments that I wrote. And now that I'm like into the year, I have quite a few that I can choose from. So if I have a kid, and because I give different rating scales, if I give them a rating scale that I gave to another student, I might use theirs. Obviously, if it's a boy, I'll try to use one that was also a guy, so I don't have to change all the he's, the she's, or she's to he's, things like that. The little things like that make it go much faster. And then you have the layout, the shell of the basic information. I usually go right into the cognitive assessment and then into the achievement assessment. And with that, I already have everything there. Like I have the background information. I use the WISC for the cognitive. So I have the background information on there. I have the little chart. I just get rid of information, add it in. I have the achievement information and the chart, just get rid of, like change the names, change the test scores. And sometimes they're similar. Sometimes they're the same. Like maybe it was extremely low for one kid, and now this new kid, they're also extremely low. So I have like a little bit of information, like if it's extremely low here, this means that. And then, I just put in their name. That saves so much time, compared to if I had to write out like the kid took this test and on this subtest, it means this. Literally just copy, paste, change the name, write in the score. If it's the same score, like the same classification, so average, below average, low, extremely low, all that, I keep that background information. And if it's different, then I get rid of that, put in like, oh, they were superior and it means this. Change it to work with whatever the student is that I'm testing, which makes it so much easier. Probably saves me hours on end, because when I first wrote up the draft for the first student, like I had to, write in what the WISC is and what it does. But once I have that, it's all good. And I know some people have multiple tests. I only use the WISC and the WIAT. Well, I also have a nonverbal, but I have that written up now too. So I feel like the more time that goes on, the more like different varieties of assessment reports you have, and it just makes it easier. But I was gonna say, I do like putting in charts and graphs because people like that, you know, like people, it makes it clean cut, because sometimes people don't want to read through. I know when I'm looking at reports from the past, I just like to go if there's like a chart, because I know what all the scores mean. I'm like, oh, okay, that means that, instead of having to search through like the written part. So that's another little tip that you'll probably want in there. After the achievement, I put in any of the rating scales I use. So for middle school, I try to do a rating scale with the student and 1 or 2 teachers. And I don't do the parent ones, the social worker does at my school. And then for the elementary, if they're old enough, I'll do a rating scale for themselves. If not, I'll just give them to the teacher and put that in. Lastly, I summarize everything that I put above. So to make this go super quick, I usually will just copy and paste the main stuff from above, because you don't want to add any new information in, but I try to get the main points. So I try to put in what they were super good at, like in the cognitive, copy and paste that down. I put where their weaknesses were, copy and paste that down. And then I do the same thing with the achievement. And then I go to the rating scales, put in anything that's concerning. And if everything seemed normal, then, you know, I'll just say that, like a simple sentence, like their teacher did this rating scale and they were within the normal range for, you know, whatever the rating scale was, if it was like for ADHD, behavior, whatever it was. And if there was something concerning, then, you know, I'll put that below, but I don't list every single thing again, because they can look above. But if you have the main like strengths and weaknesses, that's pretty much what the team, the parents, the teachers care about, not the little information. But if they do want to know that little information, they can go above. After that, I put in a couple of recommendations for what they could do to help on where their weaknesses were, even if their weaknesses weren't extreme, just so that, you know, they can even do better than they are doing. But if they do have extremely low scores, then I'll put in, you know, recommendations for that as well. Then I usually leave a line and sign it, but I was able to sign it on DocHub, and you know, then once I put it into the Word doc, it just stayed there, so I don't have to sign it every single time. Put my name and the district I work for and school psychologist underneath it, and that's how I write a quick, simple eval. It takes so much less time when you do it this way, at least for me. If any of you guys have an even faster way, let me know, but that's how I do it when I'm trying to get it done quickly. And yeah, it seems to work. Maybe in the future I'll have an even quicker way, but I remember I was freaking out in like my internship and when I was in school. So if you're one of those people freaking out about how reports take so long, don't. Plus, they do take a while. Like even now, they still take a while, because then I want to reread it before I post it online and print it and give it to the parent. So it still takes like a couple of days instead of a couple weeks, I feel like. It's when you're in school, you kind of want it perfect and you don't really know what you're doing. But as time goes on, I feel like it would just get easier. And it also really depends how many evaluations you have and how close together they are. Because if you're at a busy school, you might not have time to reread and, you know, do all that stuff. So then you might just type it, skim it, and then you send it off. It really depends on your district, but that's just how I do things. So I really hope this helped. I didn't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to make something quick that, you know, if you're struggling or worrying about how to write an evaluation in a reasonable amount of time, don't. And yeah, so again, I hope this helped. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.